What if I told you this quiet box in your kitchen didn't just keep food fresh, it froze time, killed traditions, and helped invent the modern American family? That's not an exaggeration. Hidden behind that humming door is a machine that quietly transformed nearly every corner of American life. In the next few minutes, you'll discover how the refrigerator reshaped what we eat, how we shop, and how we live, from 19th century iceboxes to the sleek smart fridges in our homes today. You'll see how this single invention altered health outcomes, redefined the American dream, cemented gender roles, and even changed racial access to nutrition. This isn't just cold storage, it's a chilling revolution you've never noticed. Imagine waking up in the year 1900. You don't have the luxury of a weekly grocery run. Everything you eat, milk, meat, butter, must be bought fresh, eaten fast, or it will spoil. For many families, especially in poor or rural areas, the smell of food going bad wasn't just common, it was a part of life. Illnesses from spoiled food were a constant threat. Children often got sick from sour milk. Your only line of defense? A wooden box in the corner of the kitchen, lined with metal and packed with a large block of ice, slowly melting away as it battled the summer heat. That's if you could afford ice at all. Ice was a luxury in many parts of the US, and if you were poor, or lived in a segregated community in the Jim Crow South, your access to ice, clean water, and even basic cooling could be non-existent. For many households, food was not only a question of money, but of power. The ability to preserve it meant the ability to plan, to save, to stretch your resources beyond the present day. But in the early 20th century, a shift was coming, a machine that would upend the centuries-old relationship between people and perishability. The refrigerator wasn't just about cold air, it was about control. It gave people power over time, over food, and ultimately, over their daily lives. But like all revolutions, it didn't arrive without a fight. Before the hum of the fridge came the roar of another empire, one made of frozen lakes and railroad cars. In the 1800s, ice harvesting became big business. Men would march across frozen lakes with saws and chisels, carving giant slabs of natural ice, which were then packed in sawdust and shipped as far as India and the Caribbean. The frozen cargo kept meat cold in trains and homes alike. Massive monopolies controlled these supplies, and with them, they controlled the food supply of entire cities. These ice kings became powerful, and their reach extended beyond refrigeration. They influenced politics, markets, and urban planning. But the job was brutal and dangerous. Workers froze, drowned, and lost fingers. And the ice wasn't always clean. Lake water contaminated by nearby industry would often make its way into your family's food. If your ice was dirty, so was your meat. So were your children's drinks. The stakes were high, and not everyone could play. By the early 1900s, mechanical refrigeration was emerging as an alternative. At first, these early machines were noisy, bulky, and potentially deadly, using gases like sulfur dioxide and ammonia that could poison families if they leaked. But innovation didn't stop. In 1913, the first domestic refrigerators began to roll out. They were prohibitively expensive, used dangerous refrigerants, and were mostly limited to upper-class homes. Then came a breakthrough. In 1927, General Electric introduced the Monitor Top refrigerator. It was sleek, self-contained, and featured a round cooling unit perched on top, like a crown. It became a cultural icon almost overnight. No longer just for the wealthy, the Monitor Top began to appear in the homes of rising middle-class families. It was marketed as both a health device and a status symbol, a sign that you had made it. But access wasn't equal. For many black families in segregated neighborhoods, electricity was inconsistent or expensive. Credit was denied based on race. Owning a fridge wasn't just about money, it was about access to infrastructure. Even as fridges promised liberation, they mirrored the same inequalities embedded in society. After World War II, America was booming. The economy was surging. Suburbs were spreading like wildfire. And inside those suburban homes, the refrigerator took on a new role, not just as a tool, but as a cultural anchor. Manufacturers pushed fridges as symbols of abundance, order, and femininity. You weren't just buying cold storage, you were buying into a dream. Television commercials beamed smiling white housewives into American living rooms, showcasing pristine kitchens with massive fridges packed with butter, eggs, jello, and frozen dinners. The modern home was defined by its capacity to store. Housewives were told that a well-stocked fridge was a sign of care, success, and even love. The birth of the frozen TV dinner allowed entire meals to be microwaved and eaten in front of the TV. Local grocers and butchers lost ground to national food brands, flash-frozen convenience meals, and shrink-wrapped everything. And yet, this shift wasn't just culinary, it was emotional. Daily trips to the market became weekly rituals to mega chains. Fresh food culture was slowly iced out. As the decades passed, the fridge grew, both in size and in symbolic weight. By the 1960s and 70s, households had learned to plan weeks ahead, storing food in bulk. But instead of freedom, women often felt new pressure. Now they weren't just feeding their families, they were expected to be master planners, nutritionists, and time managers, all with a smile. Ironically, the same fridge that was supposed to save time only stretched the expectations of what a good wife or mother should be. As obesity and diet-related diseases began to rise, critics began to question whether the fridge's promise of health and convenience had come with hidden costs. And then came the 21st century. Refrigerators went digital. Touch screens, internal cameras, Wi-Fi connectivity, smart assistants that suggest recipes based on what's inside. Some even send reminders when you're running low on eggs. One brand promises to reduce food waste by tracking expiration dates. Another claims it can help you manage your family's nutrition using AI. Yet despite these advances, the same divides persist. In the US, lower-income communities still struggle with food deserts, places where fresh produce is rare and processed food dominates. Globally, 1 in 4 people still live without safe food storage. The refrigerator has gone from miracle to necessity to silent luxury, something many don't even notice until it's gone. But if you pause for a moment, you'll see it differently. Imagine a mother in 1930s Harlem. She saves every extra dollar she can, sacrificing, budgeting, hoping. Finally, she buys a second-hand refrigerator. Now she can store milk. Her baby can drink without getting sick. For her, it's not an appliance, it's a shield. Fast forward to today. A teenager opens a high-tech fridge, glances inside, shrugs, and lets it beep behind him as he walks away, ignoring the leftovers he asked for last week. Same machine. Completely different meaning. The refrigerator changed what we eat. But it also changed how we think, about time, about nourishment, about responsibility. It became a calendar, a scoreboard, a social marker. It influenced family dynamics, food culture, health, and even memory. Think about how many photos, magnets, schedules, and notes are stuck to its door. It's not just a fridge, it's a living archive. The refrigerator didn't just bring cold air into warm homes. It brought a new rhythm to American life. It transformed how we shop, how we cook, how we plan, and even how we bond. It represented hope and progress, but also inequality, isolation, and excess. A quiet, humming box that holds far more than food. It holds stories. It holds contradictions. It holds history. Thanks for watching. If this made you look at your fridge a little differently, give it a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more untold stories about the everyday things that quietly shape our world.